Welcome to LFFL Primetime. Everything you need to know about the LFFL. Week 14 done, which means we're moving into the playoffs. So let's check it out. The original league, we had Josh beating Miles, Andy beating Greg. Phil survives, only being had 3 points against Ramondre Stevenson on Monday night, the 1 point win over Eric. Bill, the win over Todd. I was able to take care of Matt. As I told you on the What to Watch For show, Matt's loss means that Andy, with his win over Greg, jumps up into the sixth seed, knocking Matt out of the playoffs in the year 2022. Your two bye weeks, you can see, go to Greg and I both at 10 and 4. I've scored more points than Greg, which puts me in the 1 seed and Greg in the 2 seed. Josh, 9 and 5 is your 3rd seed. Todd and Bill are tied at 8 and 6. Todd has more points scored than Bill this year, so he would be your 4 seed. Bill, the 5 seed. Andy, the 6 seed. In the playoffs, we do not go to bench points. Higher seed simply wins the game in the event of a tie. Matt finishes the year at 6 and 8, a little disappointing finish to the year. Eric and Phil at 5 and 9, Miles at 3 and 10, in spite of being the second highest scoring team in the league. Now, wild card number 1. We have a younger brother battle royale. We actually have an entire younger brother side of the bracket. That side of the bracket is Josh and Andy. The winner moves on to play Greg. So the 3 younger brothers in the league will go at it. One of them will make the Super Bowl this year. Andy leads this series 22-18 all time. These two teams met twice this year. Andy taking the week 2 win with an impressive 202 points. Josh winning the week 13 game at 140-119. They do have a previous playoff meeting. It was the Super Bowl number 25 in 2019. Andy, a blowout 165-90 win in that game. Number 3, Josh rolls in here leading this league and scoring at 151.8 points per game, a strong number in a year where the offense was kind of down a little bit for most of the year. Josh is riding a 3-game winning streak, sports a 5 and 6 career record in the playoffs. He has twice reached the Super Bowl, but has yet to actually win the Super Bowl here in the original league. Andy, on the other hand, is the number 6 seed. His scoring is 20 points per game behind Josh. He is the clear underdog in this game. Andy was 5th in scoring, but he only scored 132.2 points per game. Andy did win 2 of his final 3, his only loss being that loss to Josh, and this is the time of year where Andy really shines. He's a 2-time champion in this league. He does have an 11 and 8 career playoff record. As I say, he did win as recently as 2019. So, should be a good battle between these two younger brothers who I think are both taller than their older brothers. Now, LFFL2 wildcard number 2. Todd taking on Bill. Todd, your 4 seed. Bill, your 5 seed. Series. Bill has a dominant lead in the series, 25-14. These two teams met twice this year. Both games were won by Mr. Berardi. 106-103 in week 7, 126-85 just last week. They do have a previous playoff meeting. You can guess who won that game. It was Todd in the 2020 semifinal. Todd, the 30-point win, 162-130. Todd has actually lost 2 of his last 3 games in the regular season, but he is the defending champion in this league. He has appeared in the last 2 Super Bowls. He's a 4-time winner of this league. Just like I said about my brother, this time of year usually plays very well for Todd in this league, and especially recently. We have had three different Super Bowl appearances in the last 6 years. So Todd knows what he's doing when he gets into the playoffs in this league. Bill finished strong, surging wins in 5 of his last 6 games. But look, it's the same old story for Bill in this league. Can he get it done now? The calendar says December. He has lost his first playoff game each of the last 5 seasons, and now has a 3-18 playoff record in this league. He has always felt snake bitten in this league. Will he continue to be snake bitten in this league? The winner of this game does advance to play me in the semifinals. LFFL2, we had a change at the top. Miles upsets Eric. Eric just needed 4 points from Ramondre Stevenson on Monday Night Football, and of course leaves with the injury early in the game. Therefore opens the door for Bill, who beats me to jump up into a tie with Eric. Phil wins over Sean to stay just a game back at 9 and 5. I do fall to 8 and 6, but 2 games back, still an outside chance of getting there. Your other winners this week are the Merrills and Andy. The Merrills and Miles sit at 7 and 7, 3 games back. Sean 6 and 8, 4 games back with 5 to play. It's never good position. Todd is dormy at 5 and 9. Andy and Greg are both 4 and 10. This week, got Eric taking on Todd, Bill taking on Greg, Phil taking on Andy, Miles taking on the Merrills, and Sean taking on Casey. Your top 4 in the standings are facing the bottom 4 in the standings. So, does anyone suffer an upset, or do things go as planned this week? LFFL3, your week 14 scores. Bill scores the win over Matt Merrill, secures not just the bye week, secures the number 1 seed because I was able to upset Sean in our game over here. Eric beats Phil after Kyler Murray leaves after a few plays with an injury. Matt Brennan, the Dominant win over Greg, 71-39. Todd beats Miles. Nate beats Andy. Now, Bill, as I say, your number 1 seed goes 11-3 in the regular season. Sean has settled for the number 2 seed, but still gets a bye week 10-4. Phil and Eric both clocking at 9-5. Phil slightly more points scored on the year. Will get the 3 seed. Eric the 4 seed, setting up a game with Matt Merrill, who who lost, but has an 8-6 record, good enough for the 5th seed. And although Matt Benham beat Greg to time in record, Greg has outscored him significantly on the season, giving the playoff spot to Greg. Miles and Nate finished the year at 6-8. Todd and I at 4-10, Andy at 3-11. Let's look at wildcard number 1 over here in the LFFL 3. I'm sorry, that should say 3. Number 3, Greg versus number 6, Greg. Number 3, Phil versus number 6, Greg. A Kaufman battle royal in this one. And look at the playoff history in this league between these two teams. This year, they played in week 1, the opening game of the season. Phil walked away a 105-91 winner in that game. These two teams have already met 4 times in the playoffs. This league started in 2009. This will be their 5th meeting in 14 years of this league in the playoffs. Tells you these two teams have been pretty successful in this league. Greg takes the first 3 of those. The 2009 semifinal in our inaugural season, number 1 seed Greg beats number 4 seed Phil. But then in Super Bowl 4, Greg, actually the 2 seed to Phil's 1 seed, upsets Big Brother in that game by 14 points. They play in the 2014-2018 wild cards. Greg taking the 2014 game with Phil, taking the 2018 game. And if you'll notice, it was the lower seed winning both of those games. The lower seed actually won 3 of the 4 times these guys have played in the playoffs. Let's look at Phil. Has yet to win this league, but is making his 13th playoff trip in 14 seasons. Incredibly impressive consistency out of Mr. Phil Kaufman. The problem is much like Bill Berardi in the original league. He's only 7-12 in those games. He's gotten the Super Bowl 4 times, but has yet to actually win the Super Bowl. Phil has actually alternated wins and losses since week 7. And the good news is he lost last week, so it's his week for a win if we keep that pattern going. Number 6, Greg has lost his last 2 games, but he was 2nd in this league in scoring on the season, so the record may be a little bit deceiving with Greg. He is a 2-time champion of this league, has a 9-7 career record in the playoffs, however, making just his first playoff appearance since 2018 has been a while for one of the most successful managers in the history of this league. Should be a good one. The winner of this game moves on to play Sean in the semifinals. Look at this. Woo! Number 4, Eric. Number 5, Matt. Your last 2 champions of this league. Matt won the league in 2020, handed the title off to Eric in 2021. Should be a good one. Week 10, Eric got the win over Matt in a low-scoring affair this season. They've met 1 time in the playoffs. It was Matt's first season in the league. Matt, as the 3 seed, was able to beat Eric by almost 20 points as the 6 seed. Eric ripped off wins in 7 of his final 8 games after a slow start. He is on fire right now. He is, as I said, the defending champion, brings a 10-7 career record in here, and this is his 7th playoff trip in the last 8 years. Eric got off to a kind of a slow start in this league, but he has been absolutely trucking as of late. Number 5, Matt, actually struggled quite a bit down the stretch, going just 1-4. Our 2020 champion does have a 4-3 playoff record in this league. The winner of this game goes on to take snake-bitten Bill Berardi. Woo! You're on the right side of the bracket, boys, if Bill's luck keeps up like it has been. Week 14 in the LFFL 4. Congratulations to Mr. Phil Kaufman, edging Greg out by 4 points to take the win. His 2nd win this season, his 13th of his career, and the 3rd highest single game score of this 2022 season in this league. And looky here, Phil also took the showdown on Monday night, edging out Jeremy over there on the showdown, his 4th showdown win of the season. So, does Phil move up in standings? Well, not a ton, because all his primary competition is continuing to play fairly well. But look at this race at the top, getting very, very close. Nate staggering a little bit, only 7th this week, up to 100 points. Eric getting real close at 97 points. Greg at 92 points. Bill at 90. I'm at 89. Phil is 88. This is anybody's ball game coming down the stretch right here. This could go any way whatsoever. We will have 2 different counting contests this week. Obviously, we'll have our showdown on Thursday night. Saturday, 3-game slate. We will definitely have a DraftKings because I need something to do instead of watching the Dolphins play like trash for a 3rd straight week. We will have a 3-game slate that counts in the standings. We will also have a normal Sunday main slate counting in the main standings, and then we'll have a showdown Monday night. So 4 opportunities to garner points this week in this league. LFFL 5-year semifinal number 1. 1 week left to play over here. Phil has taken a 458 to 423 lead over Eric in the 2-3 matchup. However, Greg actually closes in on me a little bit, the number 1 versus number 4. I had 407, and I had Kyler Murray and Ramondre Stevenson. Didn't bank a lot of points on Monday night. So I'm sitting with a solid almost 40-point lead over Greg, but certainly that can be made up relatively easily in this one. LFFL 6, Phil hops into our March League, knocks some handsome man out of that spot. I don't know who that could possibly be. Matt actually does close the gap a bit on Greg, and I do jump over Phil into third place. So in spite of him taking away my lead in March, I do get to jump him up to third place. Phil in fourth, Eric in fifth, Bill in sixth. Really, those six are the only people who have a chance of winning. But I would argue, just looking at the way the numbers lie, Matt is realistically the only person who has a chance to catch Greg, barring something ridiculous here. LFFL 7, we have a champion. Congratulations to my buddy, Matt Merrill, winning his first ever LFFL 7 title. He is the first class of 96 player to win this league. Beats out his brother Josh by about 15 points this week. Josh has to settle for a runner-up. There has not been a more successful team in this league than Josh, and I'll have more on that in my year-end wrap-up show. But congratulations are in order, Matt, our first LFFL champion of 2022. Your current standings, we have a new leader in the LFFL 8. Todd Meyer jumps up into first place. I guess my 80-point total wasn't too good. Who knew? Todd, 24.56 points. Phil at 24.18. So Todd hits a solid little lead. He's opened up right here. Still some time left to play. Certainly a lot of teams within shouting distance. Eric is just 114 points back of Todd. And as you can see, if you can score 80 points in this league like I did, and someone scores 180, you can make that up real fast. Finally, our LFFL 9, after 1 of 3 weeks over here, I was able to take a first week lead of 213.6 to 163.6. Championships week 14 through 16. Greg and I both made moves. Greg dropped Khalil Herbert and added the Niners defense, a strong move this week. I countered by dropping the injured Nico Collins to add Garrett Wilson to my roster. 2 weeks left to play. We'll see who comes out on top. And finally, I want to say, Bill asked me about Player of the Year as it was gone. It is still very much around. It is cumbersome for me to do in the middle of the week, and it's kind of been a busy year for me. I'm still going to do it. I kind of want to change it up this year. I felt like the format was kind of stale. So I actually have a new way that I'm thinking about doing it. I will tell that to you all at the end of the season, because I think that's a good spot to do it. So I'll be more in touch with that later. Hope you have a great week 15, whether it's in the LFFL or playoff games in other leagues. I know I've got playoff implications and games going on in a lot of leagues this weekend. So I hope you all have a successful week. I hope you all do very well. And I certainly hope Miami actually looks like an NFL team so we don't see a 50-0 blowout in Buffalo this weekend. So talk to you all on Monday with your What to Watch For.